features in the world of business, one of it being the expected economic data for this week, and we begin from there. It will be a very busy week in the United States, with investors closely following the labor report alongside the PCE price index, personal income and spending data, JOLTS job openings, ISM manufacturing PMI, which is the Purchasers Managers Index, and the second estimate of the second quarter GDP growth. Elsewhere, the focus will be on inflation rate figures for the euro area. Additionally, flash manufacturing PMI and its reading will be released for China, South Korea, India, Russia, Spain, Italy, and Canada. Turkey, India, Brazil, and Canada are set to report their second quarter GDP growth figures. Economic indices across Africa will be released as well. Talking about shares around the world. Shares of the world's most indebted property developer, China Evergrande Group, plunged as much as 87% on its open today, trading for the first time since March 21st, 2022. Shares fell to as low as 22 Hong Kong cents today, compared to the last close of 1.65 Hong Kong dollars per share. The resumption of trade comes as the company posted a loss of 39.25 billion yuan, an equivalent to $5.38 billion for the 6 months ended June, a smaller loss compared to the 86.17 billion yuan and the loss in the same period of a year ago. Revenue came in at 128.81 billion yuan, rising from 89.28 billion yuan in June 2022. So on the foreign scene, Michael Jordan's sale of the Charlotte Hornets reportedly took his net worth to around $3.5 billion, making him the richest basketballer of all time. The 60-year-old, who led the Chicago Bulls to 6 NBA titles and was a 5-time MVP, recently relinquished his majority stake in the Hornets for $3 billion. Jordan sold control of the team to a consortium led by Gab Plotkin and Rick Chanel, but the Hornets said he has retained a minority stake in the NBA team. According to Bloomberg, whose billionaires index is calculating Jordan's fortune for the first time, MJ, Michael Jordan, basketballer in history. Brazilian soccer star Ronaldinho Gaúcho could be detained by authorities to testify over a crypto fraud investigation in Brazil. According to local media reports, Ronaldinho failed to appear before the country's Congress over a pyramid scheme and a probe allegedly linked to one of his companies. The former Paris Saint-Germain, FC Barcelona, and AC Milan star failed to testify at a congressional hearing on August 24th, citing adverse weather conditions and ignoring a subpoena for the second time. According to Congressman Uriel Ribeiro, he will have another opportunity to testify on August 31st. In the event that Ronaldinho fails to appear, law enforcement officials may take him before the committee. It's time to look out for businesses in Africa. Moving to Kenya now. Startups in Kenya have received more equity funding from investors in Africa in the first half of 2023, according to data released by Brita Bridges. Kenyan startups led African fundings in the first half of 2023 with $520 million, followed by Egypt, South Africa, and Rwanda. Nigerian startups, who were fifth in funding, topped the continent with 101 deals. Kenya, South Africa, Ghana, and Egypt followed. African startups funding fell by $1 billion in the first half of 2023, causing investors to shift focus from growth stage startups to late and early stage ones. Quite concerning from that angle, but in Nigeria, at least 8 banks and 18 other listed companies have been fined 125 million naira for failing to file their 2022 audited financial statements and quarterly report for the first half of 2023, as required by the Nigerian Exchange (NGX). The affected banks were Unity Bank, First Bank of Nigeria Holdings, Access Holdings, Fidelity Bank, Jazz Bank, Wima Bank Guarantee Trust Holding PLC, and EcoBank Trust National Incorporated. John Holt, PZ Kuzan, Noto Chemicals, GlaxoSmithKline, Consumer Nigeria, Industrial Medical and Gases Nigeria, and Julie PLC were also affected by the sanction. According to the Nigerian Exchange's post-listing rules, quoted companies are required to submit their audited results not later than 90 calendar days or 3 months after the expiration of the period. The rules also required quoted companies to submit interim reports no later than 30 calendar days after the end of the relevant period. And that's considered for these companies there, still in Nigeria. Nigeria's external reserve dropped by $915 million after the Central Bank of Nigeria, CBN, officially floated the naira and liberalized the foreign exchange market. CBN's data obtained on Sunday showed that the reserves, which stood at $34.66 billion as of the end of June 14th, at the end of June 14, 2023, when the naira was floated, fell to $33.74 billion as of August 24, 2023. The naira value had closed at 471 per dollar at the investor and exporter forex window on June 13th, a day before the CBN announced the naira floats. Following the